Kia ora team, welcome back to another episode of Cody Literacy Learning. Right, I gotta stop doing that. Anyway, today we are going to be looking at, we're going to be looking at language features and how language features are used by authors and writers to make their writing interesting. So what is a language feature? I guess the best way I can explain it is that a language feature is kind of like all the little bits, all the little goodies that are kind of added in to a story to make it really interesting and really engaging. Alright, so remember we have the author's purpose, so why they're writing it, and we have the structure that they follow. Then really good authors and writers add in language features. It's like having a bowl of M&Ms, alright? And you can have one here and there, and it's really good. Some good M&Ms. And as you keep eating them, and you have more and more, they start getting better, and you want more. So you keep having a few more. So it's like language features in your piece of writing, right? You add little bits in here and there, and make it really interesting. And you really got your reader involved. But as you go, if you end up having too many, well, I had too many M&Ms. Now, I feel sick. This is what happens in your writing if you had too many language features. So you got to be careful. Don't have too many, just enough. Alright, let's move on. Learn about language features. Team, welcome back. Week 7, episode 3 on our recounts. Cool, so remember our WALT is to identify and understand the purpose, structure and language features of a recount. Today we are focusing on language features. Our question for today is, what language features does an author use in their recount? So these are things we're going to be looking at. Is it written in the past, present or future tense, and how do we know? What words does the author use to give you an understanding of when events happened? How much quoted text does the author use? So that's when people were talking. What action verbs are used in the text? Verbs to describe actions that have happened. I want you to stop here. Copy the WALT again and the questions above on language features. Then we're going to have a read through the recount and see if we can answer the questions. First, let's start off by figuring out what kind of tense the recount is written in. So remember, it can be written in past, present, or future tense. Now we know that a recount is written about something that's happened in the past. It's about events that have already happened. So a recount should be written using words that describe things happening in the past. So past tense words. Let's have a read and see if we can find some. Last Friday, my 4 friends and I rode our bikes down to the lighthouse to watch the solar eclipse. So straight away we can see past tense words. Words like last Friday. Last Friday tells us that it's happened in the past. My 4 friends and I rode our bikes down to the lighthouse. So they rode them down. They're not riding them down, they rode them down, which is a past tense word. We didn't want holes burnt in our eyeballs, so we took a solar projector we had made out of cardboard and aluminium foil. That way we wouldn't have to look directly at the eclipse. We arrived at 10 a.m, so they arrived at 10 a.m. Arrived is a past tense word. And it seemed like half the town was already there, as well as a heap of people we had never seen before. Some of the strangers had a lot of fancy equipment with them. They certainly didn't try to keep the smiles off their faces when we took out our solar projector. After setting up our gear, we found a flat rock to lie on and just wait. I had packed some salt and vinegar chips, some rice crackers, and a couple of packets of snakes so we could pig out while we waited. So had packed. So he had packed some salt and vinegar chips, which means he had already done it, past tense, while we waited. So the fact they waited is a past tense. So past tense words describe things that happened in the past. What words does the author use to give you an understanding of when the events happened? Well, we already know these. These are those time conjunction words that start each sentence or paragraph. Last Friday, we arrived at 10 a.m. After, about an hour later. All of these words explain to us what happened next. So they're language features. How much quoted text does the author use? Well, we can see that there's actually one quoted text. About an hour and a half later, someone yelled out, "Contact!" So this author only uses one quoted text in this whole story. What action verbs are used in the text? So these are verbs to describe actions that have happened. The very first line states, "My 4 friends and I rode our bikes." So rode is an action verb that describes what they did on their bikes. We arrived at 10 a.m. Again, arrived is an action verb that describes how they got there. We had packed some salt and vinegar chips. Again, it's an action verb that describes what he did. He packed some salt and vinegar chips. They waited is another action verb. If we go down further, even the seagulls stopped squawking and glided quietly into land. So that's an action verb. And I wished I'd brought something warmer to wear. These are all action verbs that describe what they did. Let's just recap what we've learned. The language features of a recount. So they use time conjunctions, all those words that start the paragraphs and link them. They include some quoted speech, but not too much, remember? They're written in the past tense, so using words like was, went, were, had, and many more. And they use action verbs. So they walked, they ran, they saw, they laughed, all these things that describe what they did. All right, what I want you to do is stop and copy down the notes above. When you've finished, I want you to carry on and read the recount story coming up next. I want you to see, can you find the different language features used in the text? What are some examples of each language feature stated above? Well done. Ka pai tō mahi, well done team. Tune in tomorrow for your final episode, episode 4, where you are going to be creating your own recount.